Hello and welcome back to another video. I am Angst, but you can call me Katie. Now, if you guys remember from last week's episode on Taboo Tuesday, if you watched it, which you totally should, self-plug, I made a video about how oppression is bullshit and all that good fun stuff, but you guys had actually voted on my Twitter and said that you wanted to see a video called How Minorities Can Be Racist. Now, if you're not stupid and you've read the title of this video, you know that is exactly what we're doing. So you are ahead of the game. Let's get started. What exactly is racism? Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, racism is defined as the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics, abilities, or qualities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to other races. Now, under this definition, white people can be racist, but black people can be racist too, and anyone, regardless of skin color, can be racist. If you remember from my previous video on oppression, I mentioned how institutionalized racism is also not a thing in first world nations, so don't even bother commenting on that. Go watch the video, then come back here. Beginning in the 1960s, in America specifically, this definition was completely rejected. Many professors in ethnic studies departments and even law schools across the nation have instead put forth a new definition, a sort of equation. Within sociology courses, they claim that racism is considered prejudice, and racism is equated to prejudice plus power. The idea can be found as far back as in a book from 1970. While the idea that racism equals prejudice plus power surely has its advantages, such as its ability to explain broader societal trajectories, for instance. However, some prominent thinkers who begin with this definition of racism ultimately conclude that only whites can be racist. Not only does this conflict with intuition, but this linkage of power and white is fundamentally flawed. Furthermore, it is obvious that whites do not control all levels of power. A black man was just in the Oval Office. 2 minorities have served on the Supreme Court, and roughly 1/5 of Fortune 500 CEOs are members of racial minority groups. If we subscribe to the position that only white people can be racist, we're excusing the actions of the typical minority groups when they say hateful things and, by definition, racist comments. Aside from the logical flaws, it is inherently divisive, posing the struggle to attain power as whites versus everyone else. By giving weight to this belief that only whites can be racist and that only white people have power, we're not only being intellectually dishonest and generating racial tension, but beginning to forget the influence that minorities have exercised in guiding this and other nations, as well as giving an out for minorities who make racist comments and get caught. You know, the usual, black people cannot be racist because we don't have the power to be racist. And if you recall from the Taboo Tuesday video I did on oppression and privilege, you'd understand why that argument is invalid. So, the other side of this coin, is it possible to be racist to a white person? It absolutely is. The whole reverse racism argument is bullshit. Racism does not have a direction. That being said, a white man can be racist towards a Latino man can be racist towards a black man, and a black man can be racist toward a white man. For the sake of not having a 10-hour video, I won't use every example, but as you can see, it's clearly not linear or one-sided. And it isn't just about an ethnic minority. Each race can be a minority within a different area. You drop a typical white American household into Egypt, boom, white is a minority. Send a black man from Africa to China, ta-da, minority. Being a minority isn't a guarantee. You can be a racial majority even if you're used to being a lower percent of your population. It varies on location and demographic. Here's a perfect example on a small scale. When I moved to Arizona, in my city, for the first couple years, the ethnic charting of students showed that white children were a vast minority compared to those who had identified as black or Hispanic, as the paperwork said. Even when I started high school and we had multiple middle schools creating a new freshman class, it was very apparent that white students were still not a majority. It took until I was a junior for white students to be above 25% of the student population. Speaking of students, there are kids in schools across America making reports titled, "How White People Plague the Planet," and wearing t-shirts that say, "Make America Brown Again." Ask yourself this, would it be okay the other way around? No? Then it's racist. While white is not a synonym for racist, minority is not a synonym for oppressed. But if you're willing to let people get a pass when they say things like black power and white power, then how's that Kool-Aid taste? That's gonna be it for this video. Like, comment, and share as you please, and I'll see you next time.